Hi guys, so I'm just gonna get started here with some green beans. Today we're making salmon croquettes with mac and cheese and green beans. So we're just getting started with the green beans right here. I'm just opening up the package. I have a pair of kitchen shears. I'm just gonna be clipping off the ends of those, and sometimes if they're too long, you'll see me clipping them in half. So here I just have a can of salmon. You can get any brand of salmon that you like. This particular brand does have the bones in it. So as you'll see in a minute, they come with the backbone still in it. So if you take it out by the backbone, it's a lot easier to get all those smaller bones running along the line of it. And then you're just gonna break it up. Here I'm just kind of breaking it up extra fine with a fork. Right here, once again, we're just going to add some garlic powder to the mix. And then we're going to come back in with some Creole seasoning. Y'all know I love my Creole seasoning. Now you're just mixing all of this seasoning in. You're going to get some mayo and squeeze in some mayo. Now, I did it in increments as I added my other ingredients. I kind of just figured out how wet I wanted it. Here I'm taking some toasted bread, crumbling that up in there. If it's not toasted good enough, of course, it's not going to crumble like that. So make sure your bread is toasted really good, but don't burn it. This will help hold everything together and give it some texture. After this, I did add a little bit more mayo because it got a little bit more dry. So like I said, you just adding it to your liking. However wet you want your salmon croquettes, that's how wet they're going to be. Here I'm just taking some green onions or scallions, whatever you prefer to call them. I'm going to roughly chop them, but still somewhat fine because they are going to be visible. And if you're a person that doesn't really like the taste of onions, but you still want like the flavor that it brings to the dish, then you would chop it finer than I'm going to chop here. But me, I like onions, and so mine was a little less fine. So here I'm starting my forming. I got about 2 tablespoons of the mixture into my hand, as you'll see here, and I just kind of patted it and first made it into a ball and then kind of patted it down. Make sure you pack it tightly, that way it won't come apart while you're pan frying them. So I do want to add right here that 2 cans of salmon we see will produce about anywhere between 8 to 10 croquettes. So just keep that in mind. Right here I have my flour. I'm just going to take each croquette and lightly dredge it in flour. Nothing else. You don't need nothing else. Only the flour. Make sure you pat it along the sides. Get it in there good and pat off the excess. I do want to also add right here that I have already put my pasta water on for the mac and cheese. I've already sprinkled in kosher salt and olive oil. The kosher salt is not only to help it boil faster, but to give the noodles some type of flavor for the base. And the olive oil is to keep them from sticking together while they're cooking. You also want to stir it in increments to keep them from sticking as well. So here I'm just heating up a little olive oil in my pan. I have the fire on about a 6, which is, I would say, a high medium. I have tested my oil beforehand also, and just go ahead and start placing your salmon croquettes in there. I would say don't overcrowd the pan. So I only put about four in at a time. Now what you see me doing here is gathering a bowl with some napkins in there. That way it'll drain some of the grease off as I'm taking the salmon croquettes out. After about 2 to 3 minutes, you want to go ahead and turn them. Now you see me stirring my noodles, as I said before, just to keep the noodles from sticking. Here I'm taking out my first batch of salmon croquettes, and I'm just placing them on that napkin in that bowl. In goes my second batch. Now I did realize that I didn't have quite enough oil in there, so it wasn't cooking high enough up the side for me. So I did add in a little bit more oil on my second batch. I have drained my noodles in this clip as well. I'm flipping them because it's been about 2 or 3 minutes. They're golden brown. That's the color that they should be. Now off to the side, as I did say right here, I did add in a pot some evaporated milk, some heavy cream, and my Velveeta cheese on low heat, very low. Now in this pan, I am melting some butter to go ahead and start on my green beans. You're just going to toss them in there with some seasoning, and put a lid over it. I'm just using another pan in this instance, and keep the fire relatively low, and you want to toss them, stir them around every like 5 to 6 minutes or so. Now here in my pot, you see my mixture of my evaporated milk, my heavy cream, and my Velveeta cheese. And that's slowly just coming together. You constantly want to be stirring that, make sure it's not burning at the bottom. Now, after I've thrown a little kosher salt and other seasonings into my cheese mixture, I am going to add in some jalapeno juice. Yes, I said jalapeno juice. This is the secret to having bomb mac and cheese. You put a little bit of that hint of that kick from that jalapeno in there. Then we added some milk to kind of get it stirring up a little bit more. I needed it a little bit more loose, so I just added some milk, and we're going to let that go for a minute. Now here I have my drained macaroni elbow noodles that I'm just throwing into my cheese mixture right now. And after I get that in there, I'm just going to stir it up a bit, put a little bit of shredded cheese in there, just to give it that ooey gooey pull apart sensation when you cut into it. And then we're just going to mix all of that up. Here I have sprayed my pan with some Pam spray, and I'm just going to add my macaroni and cheese mixture into my pan, and then I'm going to cover the entire top with a layer of shredded cheese. This is going to go into the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. I did 10 minutes in the oven and then about 5 minutes under the broiler. Your green beans are done. You give them one last final toss. Cut the fire off. Wait the 15 minutes and you're good to go. Something easy, cheap for college students. Like I said, salmon croquettes are super cheap, super easy to make, and this is hearty. It will last you, and I really hope you guys enjoyed my second YouTube video. Please continue to subscribe and share my videos, like, leave comments. Thank you so much for the people that supported me, and I hope you liked the video.